The Texas Rangers heading into 2022 made a lot of big money moves. However, it didn't totally pay off as they had a record of 68 and 94 in 2022. Moving into 2023, they've spent some more money. They've brought in guys. Will it translate to on the field success though? That's going to be a big question. And we're going to discuss that right here on Bleacher Brawls for our Texas Rangers team profile. My name is Derek. I'm here with Joey. You're watching Bleacher Brawls, and let's get straight into it. As I said, 68 and 94 was the record for the Texas Rangers in 2022. Heading into 2023, they made some moves, and we're going to talk some key players for this Texas Rangers team. I'll go to Joey first. You look at this team, who are three key players that should play a big role for this Rangers team, and who are you singling out as that one guy that is really going to have a big impact for them?
So my three key guys are all the big money guys: Seager, Simeon, and DeGrom. Seager, well, I mean, having a okay season. I mean, he lost about 50 points in batting average last in 2021 for the Dodgers. He was about a 300 hitter. For Texas, he was about a 245 hitter. I mean, not the guy you wanted to pay that exact contract to. You know, it's certainly good, above average, but not meeting quite expectations. Simeon really did not meet expectations. I mean, that really has the danger of becoming an albatross contract if he doesn't bounce back this year. But hopefully, the overall better performance of the team, it will a rising tide lifts all boats, and hopefully Simeon's able to perform better. And then, of course, I think the big key is DeGrom. DeGrom, when he's pitching, when he's on the mound, pitch for pitch, is the best pitcher in baseball. He's the best pitcher I've ever seen play. He is unlike any other person on the mound in this league. And if he can pitch a season where he gets, 20, 25 starts, I mean, we're not asking for 32 starts anymore, 25 starts. He can be the difference between, an 80-win team and a 90-win team. Seriously. I mean, he is that good of a player. So can DeGrom stay healthy? Can he anchor that rotation? And can he make the Rangers from being kind of like a phantom good team, having some big money, presenting as a team that can have a future, and brings them to the now and allows them to compete with the Astros and the Angels and Mariners, and lets them make a big splash in that division like they've been trying to do the last few years.
Yeah, 100%. I think for me, I'm looking at this team. I'm going to go a little bit more kind of not the big money guys, but I think big piece for them. Adolis Garcia is going to be a big piece for them. Nathaniel Lowe had a very good year last year, very underrated year last year. But a big piece I want to focus on is Jose Leclerc, who I think probably should be their closer. He's on a good team-friendly deal. I think he's better than people give him credit for. I know he's not, this big name closer or anything, but I think he's good enough to get the job done. Obviously, if Texas maybe gets to the trade deadline, they bring in a big name closer and he becomes a very good setup man. But I have faith in him. Maybe it's just because I'm high on him in general. But I have faith in Jose Leclerc, and I think that, he'll be fine in the back end of that bullpen. He just needs to stay healthy, and it's kind of this whole Rangers team. It's just health. Can you stay healthy? Can this team stay healthy? If they can, they could be good. That's a big question mark, though. And the reason that's a big question mark, I want to talk about it with some of their free agent signings that they made. I mean, they kept Martin Perez on a qualifying offer. But then they brought in Jacob deGrom, Nathan Eovaldi, and Andrew Heaney, three starters with injury question marks. So, which one of their moves is going to have the biggest impact? Because there are a lot of injury question marks with all of them.
I think Eovaldi. Eovaldi, when healthy, is a legit number one. He was for the Red Sox in 2021. If Eovaldi can stay healthy, I mean, that's good. I mean, that rotation will be absolutely electric, and I think will be the best in baseball. That rotation projects out, if everyone hits their mark, to be the best in baseball. The Yankees can go pound sand. The Astros can go pound sand. If the Rangers rotation does what it's supposed to do on paper, it will be lights out electric. DeGrom, Eovaldi, Perez when he's around, it's going to be great. But again, it's the injury stuff. And Eovaldi lost a lot of velocity on his arm last year. He's put some mileage on. He's been a guy that can go a lot of innings when he's healthy. But, when you're in your 30s and you're losing velo on your arm, it's very sketchy. People get nervous about that. So Eovaldi, I think, is the key out of those players for those moves. He's the key out of those players to really come in and make an impact.
Yeah, look at this rotation. It is very good, obviously. DeGrom, obviously, you get that Jacob DeGrom who can stay healthy. You get the best pitcher in baseball, arguably. Probably is the best pitcher in baseball. Martin Perez, if you get the 2022 Martin Perez, that's very good. If you get 21 Nathan Eovaldi, that's very good. You get a healthy Andrew Heaney with, he did have a solid year last year when he was healthy, obviously. That's when he was healthy. But you get that, that's going to be very good. And even John Gray was solid, last year for the Rangers, sub-4 ERA. Not amazing, but solid, right? And so you look at that rotation. I don't know if I'd say it'd be the best in baseball, but it'd definitely be one of the better rotations in baseball for sure. That is a division with very kind of underrated arms. Look at Seattle and Luis Castillo, Rod Gray won the Cy Young, but Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, there are arms there. Houston still has arms. Christian Javier, Framber Valdez, Luis Garcia, Lance McCullers. They still got arms. So there's definitely Shohei, obviously, in LA and whatever. So there are still arms in this division.
Arms race in the AL West.
Oh my
Total
God.
arms race.
Oh, I feel like that division is like trying to rival the AL East in terms of being deep and having a bunch of really good teams. It's just Oakland isn't helping them that much in terms of that. But no, I think this Rangers team, I think just the DeGrom signing will have the biggest effect, but the biggest effect on them as a whole is going to be health. And that's why when I look at this Rangers team and you start kind of looking at it and you look at the position player side of things, they didn't really do anything. You look at their line. I look at their lineup and I go, this is essentially the same lineup they had last year. The only difference maker I see is Josh Young, their first-round draft pick from 2019, who I think probably slots in at third base from day one, from opening day. So he's probably the only change in their lineup. Besides that, it's pretty much the same lineup they had last year. So with that, obviously, is a lineup that had high hopes, but didn't fully perform to those high hopes last year. What are your expectations for this Rangers team? Should they be pushing for the playoffs? Should they be just be above 500 and just whatever, and then see what happens if you can get in the playoffs? What are the expectations for them?
The Rangers certainly need to be in the playoff mix. If they're not in the playoff mix this season, they failed. DeGrom, I think, is there on a 3 or 4 year deal. If I remember
5-year deal.
5-year deal. But he's only going to be this good for how long? He's getting up there. Evaldi's the same thing. This team is trying to push for, the next 2-3 years to be really, really solid. So if they can't get an 85 win plus season, they failed this year. And I think they can do it. The only thing is health, and can Simeon and Seager really anchor that lineup? I know you mentioned Josh Young. He was a highly ranked prospect. He projects out to be a man of quality as well. That could be a very, very solid lineup. And I think if you have a solid lineup with that killer rotation on paper, that is a killer rotation, then they should absolutely be in the playoff mix. But, they're in the division with the Astros. The Astros seem to always find a way to win, but it seems like the schedules are more going to be balanced this year. So we'll see how it is for these teams in these divisions where they're really competitive and they're trying to bring themselves up, like the Orioles, like the Rangers. We'll see how that projects out to be now that they get to beat up on more bad teams. And hopefully the Rangers are able to make a move because they seem like a really exciting team.
Yeah, I do wonder, though, because we talk about balanced schedule. How many good teams are there going to be in the AL this year? Because there could be 5 in the AL East. There could be 4 in the AL West. You could have, maybe even if you only get 2 in the AL Central. It's like, all right there, that's 11 teams. Only 11 teams aren't making the playoffs. So it makes it very interesting. I think this Rangers team, you got to be 500 at least. Try push for the playoffs. They do have a very, very good farm system. A very good farm system. And they get a lot of guys coming up, especially arms. They got a lot of good arms coming up. I don't know if it was the time to maybe start pushing and bringing in these big chips, especially a guy like DeGrom who's already 34.
Leiter, right? They drafted Leiter.
Right? They got Kumar Rocker. They got a bunch of other guys too in their system. They have Luis Angel Acuna, I think, who's Ronald Acuna Jr.'s, I think, brother. I think maybe little brother, maybe little cousin. I don't know off the top of my head. But he's definitely related to him. I know that. Who he plays shortstop. Yeah, they got a lot of arms in their system. A lot of good arms too. So yeah, they're gonna be interesting.
Rocker. Wow. Both those are they both in AAA?
No, Kumar Rocker looks like he'll be starting. He's projected to start in Double A next year. Lighter is projected to start in Triple A next year. But you also have Cole Winn, who was their first round pick in 2018. Um, you know, Cole Raggins was their first round pick in 2016. Um, Owen White was their second round pick in 2018. A lot of good starters in that. And a couple of them definitely have bullpen jeopardy too.
Very exciting team.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a good place to wrap it up, though. So Texas Rangers fans, let us know your thoughts on your team in the comments. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell to get notified when we repost. The link to all our team profiles will be the first link in the description. We also have our Bleacher Brawls website, podcast, Instagram, and Twitter, plus all the crew stories linked down there. So check that out. Thanks for tuning in to our Texas Rangers team profile. For Joey, my name is Derek. Thanks for tuning in to Bleacher Brawls, and we'll see you next time.